The number of people living curbside in tents seems to be growing daily in Denver.
Just how many people depends on who you ask. If you ask the city, it's about 5,000. If you ask homeless advocates, it's at least 4 times that, around 20,000 people.
Well, either way, it's an alarming trend. And tonight, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne is taking a 360 look at this crisis. Also, the underlying COVID risks and the criticism of the city's inability to control it.
It may be a colorful spectacle lining the park directly in front of the state capitol, but it's hardly home sweet home.
This ain't no good. This ain't no fun.
People who have no housing, nowhere else to go.
Growing encampments of homeless tents are exposing an ugly truth in the mile-high city.
We're seeing the crisis of poverty in our nation firsthand.
I'll say the struggle is real, not just to be saying that, but it is.
It's a tough issue, a tough issue.
An inability to properly serve the homeless as the pandemic,
hand sanitizer bottles, packs of wet wipes,
continues to grip our city.
We are a city that has been teetering on the edge.
Let's peel back the layers and go 360 on the issue of growing homeless encampments in Denver. The most contentious new encampment generating heated debate is perhaps this one on the grounds of Maury Middle School in Cap Hill. With students set to return to school in just about a month, parents, teachers, and neighbors say the city must get a handle on the situation.
The act of being homeless may not be illegal, but there's a lot of other activity that goes on in a camp like that I witnessed firsthand that is illegal.
While shelters like the rescue mission are an option, they are also riddled with problems. At the rescue's 700-bed shelter at the National Western Complex, tensions led to a fatal stabbing a few weeks ago. Beds are in close quarters, and even the CDC has called them a potential breeding ground for disease.
There's a reason that we have codes that say you shouldn't be gathering in more than groups of 10 or 20 or whatever.
CEO Brad Muley admits they've already experienced one outbreak.
The time when we see the most people, though, would be in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And so, and frankly, that's what I'm a little nervous about.
Those who are homeless, like LD, say it's simply safer out here versus a shelter.
With the corona, it's very uncomfortable, because it's so close quartered.
But encampments popping up on street corners citywide are hardly the solution.
You can build one tiny home village or one sanctioned camping site or one affordable housing development, and that's great. You're not really helping lift people out of this situation.
Former mayoral candidate and urban planning coordinator Jamie Gillis says the city's Band-Aid approach is clearly not working.
Our system is fractured. It's a fractured system with no single point of entry into it.
When the mayor or others in the city talk about how we're building all of this affordable housing, that's a lie, because that housing is not affordable to people who are actually homeless.
That lack of strategy has plagued the Hancock administration. Advocates and even city leaders call it a failure. And finally, last week in a virtual town hall, the mayor indicated they're working on it.
The number of encampments and the public health and safety risks to people living in these encampments and to the neighborhoods has reached a tipping point.
City organizers are calling managed campsites safe outdoor spaces, but no one seems to know where these managed spaces would go just yet.
We're looking to get that up as soon as we can and then continue rolling out additional sites as funding and sites allow.
You're only looking at 45 to 50 people per site. That is the sweet spot to maintain good order.
If managed camps happen, they're still only temporary. Howard says the only permanent solution is housing.
Between 88 and 90% of the people we survey say that they want housing, they're looking for housing, but are not able to attain it.
In Las Vegas, the city purchased hotels to turn into homeless housing, something other U.S. cities are now trying to duplicate.
They bought some old hotels adjacent, and they put the highest need people or families in those.
LD says she would certainly take advantage of something like that.
Apartment buildings boarded up. Well, unboard them, renovate them. Let us help renovate them.
Every day things are happening to the unhoused population, to the poor black community, to the poor Hispanic community out here.
Trey Quinn is leading the charge on a new activist encampment on the lawn outside the governor's mansion.
The fight is not with the citizen, the fight is directly with those in charge.
Although this encampment is part of Black Lives Matter, Quinn says it's also directly affiliated with the homeless, because while 12% of the U.S. population is black, 40% of the homeless population in the U.S. is black.
these sorts of disproportionate representations of people of color in our homeless community is exemplative of the deep racism.
Now, Councilwoman Robin Kanish is asking for a ballot measure this November that would raise Denver's sales tax by 2.5 cents for every $10 spent to pay for more homeless services. Yet it's a move that has many shaking their heads because there's no clear message about how that money will be spent.
We're being asked to write yet another blank check without a clear understanding of how we get to a solution.
All the while, the tents keep popping up.
I think it says we're a city that really doesn't care.
In Denver,
Sometimes I'm hopeless, but I can't give up. That's not an option.
Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
And we want to hear what you think. Email us 360@thedenverchannel.com, or you can always join the conversation on the Denver 7 Facebook and Twitter pages.